Hi, Dave UHRICH here, just getting back to the things that I called stock licks. We're going to finish this chunk of the video with 3 more licks that I'm just going to call randomly 7, 8, and 9. Randomly meaning there's no prioritization at all. No order. You can come up with your own as well. This is by no means a complete list. It is only a partial list at very best. And it's limited to actually starting all of the licks with the same finger and the same note and the same key and the same physical motions, down picking and whatnot. So rather limited constraints here, but they're done for a specific purpose. Lick number 7. First I'm going to play lick number 7. I'm going to play lick number 8. I'll repeat them a little bit, okay? And then I'll play lick number 9. Now I'll put them kind of together in an order first to make them a little bit interesting, and then maybe make you want to listen a little cooler, okay? So. So, in conjunction with the first 6 licks that we showed, these guys here are 3 more of them. Let me first show you what we're doing here. This is a downstroke on the same note. We're starting on a D, which is bent to an E on the 3rd string, and then up on the E note on the 2nd string, and then a down, pull, down, up, down, pull. So it's a D, E, start playing fast, it's rather natural to start not bending that so much. And it still sounds cool. We'll talk about how to get these faster and faster later. So, that's lick number 7. Lick number 8 is almost the same as lick number 7, except you're going to do an extra pull-off. So lick number 7, and then lick number 8. So lick number 9 is a bend, and that's something kind of cool here. Really, this comes from the country world, a country bend. Okay, so without changing speeds here and kind of going country, what we're going to do, which would be fine by the way, but just to sort of stay consistent, I'm going to bend here, and then your finger, your pinky here, it doesn't have to be the pinky, we'll talk about it in a minute, plays an upstroke on a C note, and then on a G note. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So, now if you notice here, because of a floating trem, the floating trem, as you bend up, the other notes kind of get some tuning things. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing to get by that. But I'm just bracing my hand on the bridge a little bit to hold it in place. So a lot of these licks, like the first one, remember lick number 1? 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. I'm repeating it to 4, 3, 3. Number 7 now. 8, 9. An interesting thing is that these patterns all come back and forth. And, you know, you can play one and then another one. In other words, if all you did was try to find out different numbers here, well, you've got 9 different licks, right? And so you've got 9. Actually, if you want to just combine them, there's 81 combinations. You can play different like patterns, just combining a few of them. If you wanted to combine 3 or 4 in a row, I mean, the numbers go into the thousands. And if you wanted to start combining them 4 and 5 and 6 in a row, I mean, let's do the math. Actually, it's functionally an infinite number, so you can kind of develop your own language here. To put a stamp on each of the little licks that you've got here, which should become your own hopefully after a while, is to put an ending note. So just like you have the lick itself, the riff itself, we're going to ending note. So ending note number 1 is the note you started on, which is a bend from the D to E. So here's as an example, like lick number 2. Maybe I'll start with these here because we'll go at lick number 7. And lick number 7. Lick number 7. And an ending note. So here's lick number 8. So here's ending note number 2. This one is from a G to the A sound. So here's lick number 8. Now a lot of times you'll see me use the 3rd finger to bend or the 4th finger to bend. You can bend. You can bend with almost any finger. The interesting thing is when you get to the outer fingers, meaning the higher fingers 4 and 3, you have the advantage of being able to grab a lower finger to help support it. You'll almost never see me grab a note and like try to bend alone with no support on that string. So, but anyway, this adds a whole new level of musicality to the licks. If you don't want to learn 700 licks, I'm just giving you 9 here, but if you only wanted to learn 1 or 2, here is an example. If you want to go back and review through licks number 1 through 9, here is lick number, say, 2 with ending note number 1. That begins a phrase. Well, here's the same lick with just a different ending note. Guess what? More ending notes. Here's a bent note on the 1st string from a C note to a D note. D. So, now if you notice, these ending notes require bending. Not that you have to, because that's not the case. The next bending notes, the ending notes that I'm going to give you, are not using bent strings. But these 3 do. So that's 1, that's another, and that's another. All 3 different ending notes. So if you just took lick number 2 and took it through all the different ending notes, fun stuff. Now, the next 3 are the same pitches, but we're not going to do them with bending. We're going to do the same, but with sliding. So, 7 slides up to 9. So, D slides up to E. One of the things we'll also notice is, what are we going to do then? The same 3. Now, a lot of times when you slide, you don't have to get, okay, grab, right at 8. You're really just getting to 10. So, I wouldn't suggest that you do that, go all the way down to get a note, but this is the note we're getting to. Second to last ending note we're going to go is sliding from C to D. Right? And the last ending note will just be an A. And here's lick number 2 with all of the, what I have here is 7 different ending notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, sliding, 5, 6, 7. So. Now, would that be the same thing if I did, say, for lick number 1? 1, 1, 1. Right, so here's lick number 1 once with an end note. Here's lick number 1 with this lick number 1 with a new ending note. So that's lick number 1 with ending note number 2. So you see how all of a sudden the numbers or the math here is just off the charts. You probably never repeat yourself in any significant way just by playing in different speeds and different times, faster, slower. One thing that's really important, I think, about music, which is really overlooked, is we sit down very much and while we're talking about sort of lead playing here and scales and stuff like that, the most important part is dynamics and expression. Okay? If you want to know the truth, you're communicating with somebody musically if they're feeling something. And if you're not feeling it and they're not feeling it, you're really not, you're in the wrong direction here, okay? So it's not about speed, although speed can help, and technique and all that, but it's really about communication. So what are you doing when you're playing? You're trying to communicate to somebody else a feeling of excited or happy or sad, or you're whatever the feeling, emotion is. You're intimidated or you're aggressive. Some energy that's happening. Okay, so and that sounds kind of like maybe a little bit too hippie for people, but it's just true. Okay, when you listen to music, something happens inside you, right? What is that thing? Okay, one person listens to, say, an artist and they hate it, and the next person listens to the very same artist and they just love it. Why is that? Nobody has an answer, and I don't presume to have the answer. But the most important part of the common denominator here is there's a feeling happening, right? So that person feels it, right? Growing up, I didn't like Barry Manilow. My brother loved Barry Manilow. I lived, in the same house growing up with my brother. He loved Barry Manilow. I don't hate Barry Manilow, but God, I don't want to do any Barry Manilow. I have a lifetime supply of Barry Manilow in me forever. I never need to hear any more Barry Manilow, right? And he probably felt the same way about like Zeppelin and Van Halen and Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath and all that stuff. And funny story, my mom would listen to me practicing guitar downstairs, and I played really loud. And thank God bless my mom, she would just listen all day long and stuff like that. So I was playing these licks, just what we're doing here, stock licks, okay? And so I call them, in a kind of comical way, I call them whittly-dee. And so my mom would bang on the door after she'd had too much of me doing, she'd go, why don't you play a song? Why is all these whittly-dee, 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 come on, play a song. So that was just me in the very early stages of guitar, playing riffs, repeating them over and over and over again. So, all right, so anyway, but, obviously it gave my mom a feeling of maybe not happiness or contentment. Playing those... My mom felt they were called whittly-dee. So anyway, there you go. My mom got into the video. So, all right. So those are stock licks 1 through 9. They're certainly not a complete list, but they were limited for this to start with this in the same finger, with the same pick motion. All of them are repeatable. So therefore, because all of them are repeatable, you can switch to and from. So I would suggest you just go and try to learn the ones you can. Try them in different orders. Play them slower, faster, louder. And the one last thing I was going to say too, though, dynamics. Dynamics is everything, okay? There's some people out there, then, and maybe you know this, they can tell a joke. They just can tell a joke, right? They can just talk, and it's funny. I know a couple of my friends growing up, they were just funny. I know a couple of my friends who wanted to be funny, were just not funny. They didn't have the delivery. So dynamics. What is dynamics in music? And why am I talking about funny? Well, some people, you just look at them and you're like, it's funny, dude. That's really funny. Yeah. You could be reading the New York Times and it's just a joke. It just sounds entertaining and funny. The next person could be just reading from the, the League of Jokes, where, world-class jokes, and you're just like, stop that guy. Well, it's the same with your playing, and that's called dynamics in us. Playing a little louder, playing it softer. If you're playing live, really trying to get into the mind or the eyes, or if you could, or the sound of people that are listening to it and communicate. Dynamics. If you say something the same way each time, every single time, it's the same way, there is no variation. Well, clearly this is not the way we do things, right? So, the way we do things in music is try to find your own voice, because I guarantee you, you have your own voice. No matter who you are, if you just started playing guitar, if you've been playing for years or decades even, you have a voice, okay? I tell all my students, every single one of them, okay, I tell them that you're a virtuoso, that you're a genius. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because the job here is not to decide whether we are or are not geniuses or musical, okay? What our job here is to find out what we're good at, and then really, really hone in on it and develop it. So hopefully these licks right here give you some inspiration and some fun things, but find yourself a blues in A, or for that matter, a blues in any other key, and then just start having at it. So there you go. Dave Urick here, stock licks, 1 through 9, of a list that could be infinite. We just gave you 9. So hopefully this is a good start. Peace.